Welcome back everybody, Broadbent here. Today we're going to be covering all the major changes in the 0.60 update. This update is rather small and has some very drastic changes for the game, so you're going to want to make sure you sit this one through. So they've added a new design for the breath bar. This is also used elsewhere, which I will get to in a moment. So you can see here, if you swing underwater, they've got a new design. Looks a little bit more rough and foresty, I guess. Rather than having just a rectangle, I think this suits the game a little bit more. They've added a new dust particle effect for buildings that break apart. So if you go ahead and destroy a foundation, it used to give this like white cloud that's rising up. It looked very out of place, but now you can see it will match and it will look rather brown and woody, looking rather nice. So now when you go to skin an animal, you will now drop the logs if you are holding any. If I'm honest, I didn't even notice this before. I just thought you dropped them anyway. But yeah, so now that happens. Maybe it was a bug, I'm not sure. So remember how the top of the sinkhole was a bit like a black hole? If you stand in the right place on the rim of the hole, you will like get sucked in and you'll pretty much fall straight down to the sinkhole. Well, they made it so it's not going to happen as much anymore. So they made the rim of the sinkhole pretty much less slippery, which is great because that thing is dangerous. So now we're going to talk about the elephant in the room, the chainsaw. Yep, you heard it. They have added a fully fledged chainsaw into the game. You can find this in Cave 7, I believe, the ledge cave, where the tents are inside the sinkhole. If you go into there, you've only got to kill 1 cannibal and 4 babies to get to it. There you can also find 2 cans of fuel to power it. I will also be making a video on how to get this. If I already have, the link will be at the top right of the screen right now if you want to go and check that out. This can be used both as a tool and a weapon. You can use it to chop down trees more rapidly. It's very quick indeed. You can also use it to do damage to all the mutants, cannibals, but it's more effective as a tool. It does take up a lot of fuel to use as a weapon, so it's not going to be replacing manual weapons anytime soon. I have some very strong personal opinions about this, which I will talk about in a later video. So enemies will now always turn bloody when you hit them with an arrow or a spear. This was apparently a bug in the previous update. So this one's rather interesting. They've balanced all structures with their HP and damage, I guess, that they can take. So, for example, we've got stone, sticks, and bone. That's the wrong order. Basically, stick fences will take less damage than bone fences, and bone fences will take less damage than rock walls. So I think stick fences only take a few hits to destroy, and then rocks fences are going to take a lot of hits to destroy. So that's something you've got to know when you are building a wall around your base. So they've also added a translation system in this update. Now currently this only includes French, but you can go ahead and take a look in the options menu, you can enable it, and I guess learn some French. But it's cool to see that they're adding more language packs. I guess they should probably do Germany, because I know the game's very popular in Germany. But overall, absolutely love it. If you look at your shadow, you can now see your player hair. I honestly didn't know that you couldn't before. So there's been a performance change as well. Basically, what they're doing is whenever you save the game and the screen goes black, they've unloaded a few objects so that it'll save and have less chance of crashing, I guess, which is great. I've actually noticed it crash quite a few times when I just save the game, so hopefully that fixes it. Next big change is the loading screen. So if you go ahead and click New Game or Continue, you will get this rather fresh looking loading screen where the progress bar goes from left to right over the forest logo. This looks really good, however, the game always freezes whenever I click New Game or Continue. I'm not sure if this happens with anyone else, but the game says not responding to you if you go into windowed mode. And this happens like 2 or 3 times. So if you're going to work on the loading screen and make it look good, at least make sure it works. Other than that though, I do like the design, so great change. In multiplayer, they've added a bunch, and I mean a bunch, of clothing variations. Like I previously have, I can't really go through all of them because they've added quite a few. They've got new hoodies, new jackets, open shirts, closed shirts. Looks really good. You can get some really funny combinations though, and I'm going to leave it at that. You can now see that they have updated the look for bubbles when using the rebreather underwater. In Cave 7, they have removed the duplicate modern axe. So there was 2 locations for the modern axe. There was one where you had to go through an armsy, and one where you had to climb down that really long rope. The one with the armsy has now gone. You cannot find it there anymore, and you can only find it by climbing down that massive rope, which has made it so the modern axe is very easy to get. You only have to kill 2 cannibals to get to it, which makes it harder to get than the chainsaw, which makes absolutely no sense. Again, another topic for another day. In multiplayer, they have added the text experimental over all the dedicated server options. This is just to clarify the current state of the feature, that it's not a fully fledged function and it's not complete, and it's in a very, well, experimental phase. So it's no longer possible to use, for example, the air canister or the fuel canister when your item's already at the max capacity. I assume they added this alongside the chainsaw because the chainsaw does consume fuel just like the rebreather does oxygen tanks. So there's been quite a few optimization and dedicated server changes. I'm not going to go through all of them, I'm just going to cover the two main ones that will affect players. So the autosave function will no longer run every however often the interval is if no one's on the server. So the autosave function will now only run if there's people active on the server. Also, the autosave will trigger when the last person leaves the world. And last but not least, this change will drastically affect server hosting websites, so the dedicated server tool can now be downloaded and launched without the Steam client being active. So now you will start to see a bunch of hosting websites for the Forest releasing their services. Great, love to see this. Alright everyone, so that sums up the most drastic changes for the 0.60 update. Let me know what you guys think to this update, especially about the chainsaw. What are your opinions on it? Do you think it's good? Do you think it's bad? Let me know in the comments below. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to press the like button. Thanks for watching everyone, and I will catch you in the next video.